February today. Don't forget to subscribe before you leave. And you say there's nothing to eat. Shit, son. Hello.
Every year. So it's known as mastitis. It's estimated that about 1/3 of all dairy cows in the U.S. suffer from mastitis.
Oh my gosh. I feel like a big freckle, eh? Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You can see the back right here. He has a scar from where the coyote attack happened. The people who had Paolo at the time did not want to pay for his medical care after the attack, so they simply stuffed his organs back in his body and duct taped the wound shut, which is why it never healed truly properly. He does have some stomach issues, but otherwise. They're often compared to dogs, and just like some dogs you may know, some pigs love to roll over for a good belly rub, and these three get a lot of belly rubs. Pigs are also natural nest builders. They like to create cozy sleeping spots in their barn, which is great because they do sleep 18 hours a day. Yeah, I know, dream life, right? Also don't have the ability to create their nests because they spend their lives on hard flooring, which is extremely hard on their joints and on their feet. If you remember back to that gestation crate that we saw in the visitor center, those are for pregnant pigs in the pork industry, known as healthy lives on a diet that doesn't contain any animal products at all. And that way of eating is either referred to as plant-based or vegan. Respected organizations like the Academy of Nutrition and Dietetics fully endorse a plant-based diet is healthy for everyone, from infants to adult athletes. They state that people who eat a plant-based diet enjoy numerous health benefits like lower rates of cancer, lower rates of type 2 diabetes, lower blood pressure, and lower cholesterol because of the cholesterol found in plant-based foods. Many medical professionals also recommend a plant-based diet as a way to reduce the risk of and sometimes even reverse heart disease. Even though there are a lot of benefits to a plant-based diet, still people are concerned about getting enough nutrients on a plant-based diet. One of the main nutrients people are concerned with is getting enough protein. The truth is that protein is found in many of the foods that we already eat. Beans, nuts, whole grains, and dark leafy greens. Even the USDA agrees that protein needs can easily be met by eating a wide variety of plant-based foods. Another nutrient people are concerned with is calcium. Hey there! Is calcium. We've been taught from a young age that we need cow's milk for our calcium. The truth is that humans are the only animals to drink the milk of another species. We're also the only animals to drink milk past infancy. We wouldn't drink cat milk or rat milk, but we've been taught that it's normal for us to drink cow's milk. Harvard School of Public Health actually no longer recommends that we get our calcium from cow dairy sources. They're recommending that we get our calcium from dark leafy greens and beans instead. So I went vegan 12 years ago now, and that was because I was not feeling very well, and I had an acquaintance kind of say casually, oh, you should try being vegan, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but I'll try it. So I decided to go vegan for the summer. And really I was eating plant-based, and at the end of the summer I could not believe how much better I felt. I was sleeping well at night. I had resolved all the digestive issues that I was dealing with at the time. I finally felt like I was paying attention to what the food was that I was putting in my body. Environmental issues that we're facing today, including land degradation, species extinction, water pollution and depletion, and climate change. That report noted that the livestock sector is responsible for producing more greenhouse gases than the entire world transportation system combined. That's every plane, train, automobile producing fewer greenhouse gases than the livestock sector. Animal agriculture also uses an enormous amount of water. Here in Southern California, we're worried about our water constantly. The truth is that household water use is really just a trickle compared to the flood of water that's used in animal agriculture. A study by Cornell University found that it takes 100 times more water to produce 1 pound of meat than it takes to produce 1 pound of plant protein. As I was saying, one of the best ways to decrease your personal water usage is actually to incorporate more plant-based foods into your diet. Saying 90% of hens spend their lives in battery cages like that one that we saw in the visitor center. Before they're placed into those cages, their beak tips are seared off with a searing hot blade. They're then placed into those cages, stacked row after row in windowless warehouses with poor ventilation. Those birds may spend their entire lives never seeing the outdoors. Hens today produce an unnatural amount of eggs. A century ago, hens' ancestors produced about 100 eggs per year. Today's hens produce 250 to 300 eggs per year. That rate is extremely unsustainable for their bodies. They often suffer from osteoporosis and prolapsed uteruses as a result. Fortunately, there are a lot of great alternatives to use for eggs in breakfast and baking, so if anyone has any questions about those, I'd be happy to talk to you about those after the tour. All right, so some...
Whoa!
Aubrey's not in a snuggling mood at the moment.
Okay.
But he is very handsome and he would like you to notice that.
Look at that.
Days old when they've reached a weight of 5 to 6 pounds. Even though their bodies have ballooned to the size of giant adult chickens, they still go to the slaughterhouse peeping like baby chicks because they are baby chicks. Unfortunately, this can be very difficult on their bodies. Their large size, it's very challenging for their bodies to pump enough blood and oxygen throughout their organs. So hundreds of millions of chickens on factory farms actually die of heart failure every year, or when their legs give out under their enormous weight and they can't make it to their food or water. So these ladies right here are a group of Cornish hens. They're an example of hens that would have been used for their meat. They were rescued from a poultry judging competition at a county fair. They were, even though their bodies were very large, they were very sickly, and they spent all of their time clustered very close together, which is what they were used to. You can see we also have some turkeys here, and they're really an example of just how far from natural our food production system has become. These turkeys have been bred to reach their slaughter weight very rapidly. They've been bred to have very large breasts because the breast meat is the most profitable part of the bird. Unfortunately, that means that they're not able to do many of their natural behaviors like flying, nesting, roosting, and reproducing. Artificial insemination is responsible for 100% of domesticated turkey reproduction today. And they have enough space to walk around and do all of their natural behaviors. Like that. So sometimes people wonder if free range or cage free is a healthier, more humane option. Unfortunately, those labels are extremely misleading. For cage free birds, stay far away from you.
There's a head-butting sheep because he's a teenager.
As you probably know,
He
are used
head-butts
for both
children.
their meat and their wool. Most commonly, sheep are used for meat in the U.S. as lamb, who are baby sheep who are killed at 6 to 8 months old.
Oh, wait.
The majority of the world's wool comes from Australia, where they raise a breed of sheep known as the merino sheep. Merino sheep are really favored for their very wrinkly skin. More skin means more wool, more profit for the farmers. Unfortunately, this means that that very wrinkly skin, often flies, can get into the folds and lay their eggs. The maggots then, once they've hatched, eat the sheep alive. So in order to prevent this, ranchers have developed a very cruel practice known as mulesing, where they slice strips of skin off the backs of the lambs about this size in order to prevent that from happening. And they do that without any pain relief whatsoever. Also, a lot of the merino sheep in Australia, once they've stopped producing enough wool, they're boarded onto ships. Thousands of sheep every year are boarded onto ships, and they make a 3-week journey to North Africa, where they're slaughtered upon arrival. Sheep are, yes, do you have a question?
Yes, mulesing. So it's pretty much to get the maggots away, but they
It's
take the
to
skin
prevent,
off.
it's basically to take those wrinkles out on their backs so that that can't happen in the first place. But the way that they do it is completely without any form of pain relief. 50 faces, including human ones. So if you've been here before, you might get recognized. We also have some goats here as well. I'll point them out to you.
Ooh. Okay, so we just got done at the sanctuary. It was it's pretty cool. It's different than I thought it was gonna be. I didn't realize it was so vegan. Like, it was so vegan, really. But I think it's a great lead-in because you just think it's like, oh, I go visit the rescued animals. It's actually mostly animals rescued from factory farms, so like all the animals that you just saw, some of them were from factory farms. One of them was left at the factory, at the sanctuary, in a McDonald's box. Other ones were from different places. It's just crazy that they all know what it feels like to be in that awful environment, but then they didn't have to live their whole life like that. And all of them would already be dead if they weren't rescued. That's crazy. And then it was really cool. I feel like I like getting up close with the cow, because the cow is like 2,000 pounds, and that's not like, that's just not something you get to do every day. It's just different. Any words you want to say?
I wish I had gone vegan sooner.
Yeah. just interesting because most of the animals you see too are the ones you would be eating, like if you weren't vegan. And it just, you're like, how do we think these animals are stupid and gross and disgusting, and that they're just made for food and that they don't have feelings? Like, they're fucking sentient beings. It's just crazy. Alright guys, if you like this video, give this video a thumbs up. Put some comments in the comment section below. Have you ever been to this sanctuary or another one? And what'd you get out of it? Subscribe before you leave. I'm Jera Sky. Sky's the limit. Woo! Just remembered when we were doing
on California 14 South.
What about? Okay, so when we were doing the tour in the beginning, I was thinking about how you asked me why I kept watching all the prison shows, and I watched all the prison shows like on Netflix and everything because there's so many people in there that's lives are just, that's it, all they'll know is being forever trapped inside those cells. And I thought, I was like, that's the same as, you know, the animals in the animals in the factory farms, because they'll never, most of them never see the outside ever. And even the people that went to prison, like, they were outside and they just kept doing shit. But our system also makes it so they keep coming back. Like, it's too easy to keep coming back. Like, it should be harder to, they shouldn't be like, oh, we'll see him again. Like, that shouldn't be how it is. But it also made me think, like, as bad as I feel for homeless people, at least they get to see outside. And I know it's not always fair because sometimes it's freezing and you don't get to be inside, but there is some freedom with that, as opposed to either being in prison or being a factory farmed animal. Like, you have no freedom at all. I was just thinking about that.
It's very, very challenging to wrap your head around how miserable it is, because we don't see it every day.
Even the prisons, like, you don't really know about the prison stuff unless you watch the shows or you know somebody in prison and go to the prisons. So I think it's an entire, like, thing of, why do we keep wanting to cage people up, cage animals up? What the fuck is going on? And it's also like your stuff about the credit stuff is, like, why should you have to keep paying for these mistakes that you made like 10 years ago, 6 years ago? In prison, I feel like that's the same thing, especially like drug stuff, is like, why should you pay the rest of your life for drug stuff? Like, some of the things that they were in there for, I just, I'm like, you get life for this? Like, just being a repeat. I get being repeat, but I still, like, at some point, there's like, even killing somebody, I don't even feel like is worth your entire life in prison with zero hope. That doesn't make any sense. Like, why are you in there forever? Like, whose right is it to take that away from you? Like, how is that any better than what they did? It's no better. So, just some weird thoughts and musings. Okay, bye.